Hey there friends, Golf Coach Dan back today, and welcome to what I'm going to call Golf Talk. Typically on this channel, I'm trying to create fairly simple videos talking about clean-cut topics. This is a big issue I see in a lot of golfers, and this is a simple remedy I use to offset it or whatever. At least that's what I typically am trying to do. Just keep it simple, right? But Golf Talk is going to be a little bit of a more conversational peek into the swing. The way I'm going to look at it is this is a lot of what I'm thinking about as I'm trying to come up with a lot of these simpler solutions that we talk about. Okay, so in today's Golf Talk, we're going to be talking about grip orientation and its implications throughout the swing. So when I talk about grip orientation, my mind is almost always going to, is the face going to be more open or closed as a result of the grip being stronger or weaker in orientation? Now the grip gets a lot deeper than that. You know, I think a lot of people, when I talk to them about grip, at least more novice golfers, they talk to me a lot about interlock and overlap versus 10 finger. I think that's important. For what it's worth, I'm primarily just concerned that the hands are connected. I do think you can play great golf with a 10 finger baseball style grip, although a lot of the world's best players do overlap or interlock for that even more connected kind of state of the hands, if you will, right? So I come on closer here. If it's 10 finger, I'm going to have the most amount of right hand on my club, and then overlap is a little less, and I'd say maybe interlock's a little less, a little bit of that inside right hand's on the grip, and then when you overlap it, you get rid of that right hand almost entirely, or at least not the right hand, but this pinky bone, if you will, that inside of the right hand. The less right hand is on the club, the slower you'll probably release it. Now, that's just a little thing about interlock versus overlap. What I want to talk about today about grip is really why I am starting to favor more and more of a stronger grip orientation. So for me as a right-handed golfer, that's going to feature my left hand more on top, my right hand more underneath. Now, as we talk about things today, I'm going to talk about, some things I'm doing in my own swinging game that fit on this theme, and then also some things I'm seeing a lot in lessons. I have this noodle here. I have another training aid, the Golf Forever stick and resistance band over there. So I'm going to also show some of the drills I'm using in lessons to get people feeling some of the things we're talking about today. So let's just get right into it. I favor a stronger grip because I feel like it holds the club more closed in our hands. And as a very oversimplified blanket statement on the game, people that deal with more of a closed face miss, so as a right-handed golfer, let me just start hitting some shots here. Hopefully the mic's going to behave. I usually wear my mic on my hat, but no hat today. So that's a stronger grip, and I intentionally let that club release a little bit more freely, so it's going left, right? So a golfer that tends to miss more left, the ball's going to go further. So when you close the face to the path and get more draw bias in your shots, you typically are going to average more ball speed and more distance. So it's just nice to hit the ball further, right? And then also, golf is a very counterintuitive game. I always say that's the reason that me and golf coaches have a job, because what your body normally is telling you, what your body normally tells you to do on a miss is usually the opposite of what you want to do. Golf is very, very counterintuitive. So to that end, when a golfer sees their ball go more to the left, it instinctively makes them want to swing a little bit more inside out. And to swing more inside out, usually we'll see that club shallow or drop a bit at the start of the downswing, versus slicers that see the ball go right all the time. Their body usually wants their club to go more left, outside in with the path. And then along with that, we're going to usually see a steeper move in transition in the early downswing. Why is that important? I think it is much easier to hit the ball cleanly as you shallow the club. So sometimes we talk about it sort of like landing a plane, right? If you kind of get that club lower earlier, you now have more margin for error through impact, versus if you come down on the steeper descent, you have to figure out how to level it at the last second at the right time to make it all work. So I do think you get more consistency, a wider margin for error as you shallow the club. Those things happen inside out and shallow, usually more naturally as we see the ball miss to the left. So that circles back to, I do like a stronger grip, right? So if you're someone who's slicing, getting steep, swinging outside in, dealing with weak contact and inconsistency, all that piled together, I might have you start with just getting that grip a little bit stronger and inviting some misses to the left. Okay, cool. So in this world where my grip's stronger, the face is more closed, and I'm missing more to the left, now what can we do about that? So there is no perfect in this game, but I do think there's higher quality miss patterns on the spectrum of ball striking. Okay, so I'm going to hit one or two here. What I like to do in my own game right now is I'm going to grip the club a little bit stronger And then I'm just trying to feel the club work a little bit up in the early takeaway and backswing so I can save the depth, if you will, getting the club behind me for later in my downswing. Because I do think the club does like to loop. It's very hard to stay perfectly on plane, so I'd rather my loop be a little bit out and away and then shallow deep later so I can come from the inside versus a club that might sneak too far to the inside and then loop steep away from me, right? So I'm going to grip it strong. I'm going to try and get it up and shallow, and then the most important part of all this is going to be to turn so the club face doesn't close too quick, right? So to get the club around in the downswing, I made a video a while ago, one of my more popular videos called Body versus Arms. And in that video, we talk about how the club has to move around the arc, right? So if I turn, that should leave the arms, turn with my body, that should leave the arms quieter, and that can all buy me more club face stability so the face stays more open, right? Versus if my arms swing faster and the body stays quieter, that would usually serve to close the face faster. So, stronger grip, a little bit more outside in the backswing so I could shallow in the downswing, and then last but certainly not least, lots of rotation through impact to stabilize the face. So that's sort of the pattern I'm currently trying to work into my swinging game, right? I kind of talk about shallowing and then clearing or turning through to stabilize. I'm going to try one here. Strong grip. I'm also trying to keep my knees a little straighter. I get too much knee bend and I round my back, so little setup thing for me. I'm trying to go straighter knees, more hip bend. All right, let me stand it up, lay it down, and try and turn. That actually felt pretty good. Sorry if the mic got a little fuzzy there. Beautiful. So that's a tiny little fade. I almost have like Lee Trevino in that downswing move of his as my inspiration. Okay, so that's my game now. If you're not used to those feelings, here's some things I'm doing with students in lessons. So first things first, we already talked about the strong grip. I think that's super helpful because if the face isn't perfect, and there is no perfect, the more closed the face is, I think the easier this all is to start getting built up. All right, so strong grip is kind of one, and then a nice alignment stick on an angle. You could stick it into the ground, or I have the alignment disc from Y Golf here at an angle. I like to throw a noodle over it just to make it a little bit more user-friendly. But once we have the club with a stronger grip in our hands here, then on the downswing, I'm really trying to make sure my club gets down. Because if my club gets steep, and old habits can die hard here in transition, if my club gets steep, there's nothing about that that will make me want to turn more through the second half of the downswing. And hopefully, though, if you do get steep with a strong grip, it's only going to serve to hit the ball hard left. So that will help you unlearn that habit a little bit over time, okay? So, got the stronger grip, top of the backswing. The first feeling is to get the club down. That's shallower, and that's under the noodle. I don't have a good anchor point here, so we're going to have to use our imagination. Typically in a lesson, this is the Golf Forever stick. Typically what I would do, if I'm by myself and I want to do this, I just kind of stick it to like the bottom of a door jamb or something, or it's really easy in the gym. To the side of the facility here, I have hooks, but you wouldn't be able to see me on camera. So what I'm going to do is pretend I'm over there, and I'm kind of hanging on to that alignment, that resistance band. What I then have the golfer do, once they get the feeling of getting the club down, is they're going to rotate against the resistance. So that's me as the anchor point there. And usually some resistance is a great way of learning the proper feelings of how we want to turn our legs and use our legs and core to kind of power that hip and shoulder rotation through the ball. Okay? So I think that covers it. That's the first episode of Golf Talk, if you will. Hope you guys liked it. I know it's not the cleanest cut template, but I do think hopefully some of the viewers will appreciate a little bit more of a deep dive into some of this conversation, all right? Any questions? That's what the comment section's for. If you want to see anything else covered, different topics for my next Golf Talk, please shoot me them in the comment section, or if you follow me on Instagram, shoot me a DM over there. And then last but not least, if you'd be so kind as to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and you stuck around this long, hopefully you liked it. That would be a huge favor to me. Have a great night. I'll see you next time.